welcome to my channel. I am aquasia dannel and I'm just here to help. Today, what really prompted me to get on camera and start talking was my shadow work journal entry today. It really, I feel like, really sets the tone for a self-love journey, and that's kind of what I want to share with people, like where I was from the start of my journey until now and going forward. I really want to establish that and possibly connect with people and help them in any way that I can. Just learning from experience and sharing what has happened to me could do Lord knows what for someone else. So that's really what made me want to start speaking out. So today's prompt was old limiting beliefs that I have had in the past, and what are some new ones that I would like to work through. So when thinking of limiting beliefs, for me, I think it's very important to get those in order first before, you know, not even before, just get those in order to really expand. Because yeah, so when you think self-love and stuff, everyone wants to think confidence and all that, but you can work on your outside image all you want, but like if you have these internal conditions in your head where you think of yourself in like a box of some sort, there's no expanding from that. Like I really do believe when you're on a self-love journey or just trying to understand yourself better, you really need to get in order of like your mindset is going to really be able to show your growth. I picture a limiting belief, I think of putting myself in a box. So if you're in a box, there's no way to really grow or really start to appreciate yourself, which is super important when learning to love yourself. Start looking at things like your subconscious beliefs and things that you have in your head, maybe not even from yourself, but like from others, and evaluate their negative impact on you.
We have these negative mindsets that have been passed on to us through influence of others, family, friends, acquaintances, just anybody really. So now that we establish what limiting beliefs are, we can get into some examples so that you know what you kind of are looking for. So things where you think you're a failure or you think you're not good enough, you may say things like, oh, things don't work out for me. You may say things like, oh, I don't deserve that. Or, you know, I find a lot like in the black community, we get a lot of, oh, who she thinks she is, who he think he is. And, if you grew up around that, you kind of have that in the back of your head, like you navigate differently, thinking like you don't want no one judging you in that type of sense. Being the victim for your whole life, basically. You just never take responsibility for anything. Like it's just always other people's problems. Like your faults are because of your parents, or your faults are because of your past relationships, or your faults are because of, you went through X, Y, and Z as a kid. You know what I mean? You really put it on, you put this victim mindset on yourself that really draws and holds on to certain aspects of your experiences. Beliefs can include anything where it's like you are not blink enough, so I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not kind enough, I'm, whatever. Those type of thoughts are limiting beliefs. So without releasing these negative beliefs, these limiting beliefs, negative, limiting, they're one and the same. Without releasing these, you really won't be able to fully accept yourself. You will never really fully feel comfortable in your movements and how you navigate throughout life. So that's why I really think it's important, especially when you are on a self love, self growth journey. It doesn't necessarily have to be spiritual. It could just you trying to get into more in tune with yourself, really getting to know yourself, really understanding, really taking charge of your life. So I really think it is so important to really lose and re-alter your mindset, because without doing that, you're going to keep running into the same experiences, the same people, just the same things over and over again. And you will end up getting fed up. You will be feeling like you're just in a loop, basically. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Put the prompt that I use right in here, and I want you guys to do it. Even if you don't share it with me, I still think it's worthwhile. And if you, even if you haven't worked through any limiting beliefs, just identify some of them that you would like to work on, and really figure out how you'll be able to do that. What are some small actions that will really change that? What is, if you have this one negative thought, like what could you say to alter it? You know what I mean? What could you, like, if you think you're not pretty enough, maybe you should start saying that you are pretty, you know? And looking in the mirror while you're saying that to yourself, like, I am pretty, I am pretty. You know what I mean? And then go about your day in small steps like that, or recognizing, or just asking yourself, like, why do I think that? Like, where did I get that from? Who told me that? And are they right? Chances are they're not. Chances are they're not. So it's just like you have to be able to identify what's keeping you in your small box, what causes that. I'm just asking that you identify them and understand why you have them. And that, for me, it really helped with boosting my confidence, forcing me out of my comfort zone. Once I got rid of a lot of those, or the main troubling ones, it like my life started going exactly as I planned it.
For me, my one of my limiting beliefs that I was able to dismantle from the past was my fear of the word no. Now, I know it can be like, oh, you sound spoiled as all what have you, but no, like I really feared no, because no to me is rejection. So through fearing rejection, I very much kept myself in a comfort zone, doing things that only I knew were going to be worthwhile for me, or I was going to get the reward, or I was going to get my expected outcome, more so than just challenging myself or pushing and forcing myself to grow. Because once you get into navigating your negative beliefs and what limits you, you'll be able to notice that a lot of times if it kept you in the same cycles, it's kept you doing the same things, eating the same foods, being the same person, and not really seeing a change. Because without growing, your life is not going to change. It's not just going to magically up and become the best thing ever. No, you're going to be still stuck. You're going to get tired, you're going to get bored. So when dismantling these beliefs, you're able to expand. You're able to really get into it. You're able to really start to love yourself. You start to see things differently once you're like, oh, why do I even think like that? You know what I mean? Why is it that I believe I'm not worthy of this? Or why is it that I feel like I'm not allowed to do that? So once you get in touch with those type of things, you'll really start to see that just in a box, and you weren't going to be able to grow. And that's where the conflict within your self-confidence and within you loving yourself really stems from. It's those type of ideas. As I'm talking about these things, I am not a guru. As you like, I am not a guru. I'm just someone who has been through a lot and has learned a lot. And I'm at a place where, like, yeah, I'm still learning, I'm still moving forward with my own journey, but I feel like I'm at a point where I can pull someone up, or I can share my message and maybe someone else can relate to it. Regardless of what I have to say, maybe someone will take something out of it. So by all means, like, this is just my advice, my experience, and it's just something I'm willing to share. I have no shame in what I have going on for myself. So I'm vulnerable, you can be vulnerable, you know what I mean? It's, we fam, okay? We are fam. I think a lot of times, a lot of people, they get stuck and they're just like, they let it blow them with the wind, and it's just like, no, you are a force to be reckoned with. Like, you really have the power to do and be whoever you want. So why not do it? Getting back to the fear of no, for me, like I said, it was a rejection thing. I lived my life for the longest time with everything being so easy to me, everything coming so easy. My bare minimum for a lot of times, or a lot of activities I was doing, was compared to others, it was just it was like exponential, basically. Like, it was just so much better than the average, and mind you, I wasn't putting much effort. Like, for me, I like to live my life with ease. I've always been like that. I don't like to try hard. I don't anything that takes too much energy, I don't want to deal with it. It just is like it can go. I've always had that type of attitude. And I started noticing that I really did just keep doing things and participating in things that I knew weren't gonna change. Like I already knew the outcome, and I already knew X, Y, and Z was gonna happen, and I was gonna get X, Y, and Z. I only kept myself to that.
My second limiting belief that I had to get rid of, like it had to go, was the pressure I put on myself to make people happy and make people proud. I was navigating my life and conducting my life in a way where I wasn't living for myself. I was actually just doing what would please other people. And from that, I was always in conflict with myself. I was never satisfied with anything I did. It was kind of just like whatever. Like there was no, when I would accomplish anything, my accomplishments didn't feel like accomplishments. They just were like, all right. Like I would feel happy because, the people around me are happy, but for the longest time, it was just like, all right, I did what I needed to do, and that's it. Third one I wanted to share with you guys that I dismantled was of measuring my self worth with the love of others. I had to understand that just because people don't love me or treat me right or anything like that doesn't make me unworthy. It has nothing to do with me. What they do to me has nothing to do with me. It doesn't define me. And for the longest time, I was defined by how people treated me. I did feel like, oh, it has to be my fault that, or I'm undeserving that, and that's why they treat me the way they do. No, it was only because I was allowing it. But that's another thing for another video. But yes, for the longest time, I searched and searched for the approval of others. Just like I said in my last one, where I was talking about how, I always wanted to make people proud and happy. Basically, people pleasing. I just always thought that, like, if these people love me, or if I make these people happy, that's all that matters. And that means that if they love me, that means that I'm lovable. And instead of thinking I am lovable, I had this thought that others have to love me for me to be equal to lovable.
We're gonna wrap it up in the corner, but I wanted to leave with this. Not only the prompt, but I wanted to say shadow work is not just for those who are spiritual. I think it's necessary for anyone. Get you a journal and write. Shadow work is just journaling. It's having a prompt and just getting out all your emotions, whatever thoughts come to you as you're reading that question. That's what you need to be writing right there. Shadow work, what I like to do is go into a little book like this I just got from Five Below. It has a whole bunch of prompts in it, and I've done some of them, and it really gets my flow going. It really sets the tone for me being open when I finally get into shadow work journal, which is this one. So I'll have a prompt for this one, and then I'll probably do two or three of these prompts. So they don't always have to correlate, but if I find a prompt in here and I feel like I need to write more on it, then I move on to this book, and I basically just keep going from the thought that was already here. And I would probably make a note inside my journal where the beginning of this thought comes from. So it'd probably be like I'll already know, because I do this book first and then go into this book. So I will already know if I put like page 111 what that meant. So I say that get in tune with yourself. Really realize what is limiting you. Really realize what are some thoughts that contribute to your life that you want to change, and go from there. The easiest way, you don't even need a prompt. Just get a journal and just start writing. Whatever you feel, just write it out. You'll be surprised at what you come up with as you're writing, and you'll be surprised at what you're so ready to release that you didn't even know. So I hope you lovelies loved this video. Give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe definitely, and I have high hopes for what this will bring for us. So I love you if you love me. If you don't, bye.